Good evening, people. How do you brew? And welcome to the Brews at 10. On my left eye, I'm your host, Lefty. You're all very welcome here. Thanks for joining me on tonight's live stream. On that interweb. Part of the regular live streams here on the channel. Whenever PMQs is in session, you'll find me giving my first time analysis and commentary every week that it's on. Hope you're all well. Nina Sadie has the distinguished honour of being first in the chat this evening. Hope you're doing very well. Hope you're brewing nicely. Andy Carter also here. So that means that we could be in for some good punnery as the chat fills up so far. And yes, you're Jeremy Corbyn now with the static emoji. Nina Sadie, congratulations and thank you very much for reaching that milestone. Just one of the perks of being here on the channel as a member. Of course, everybody counts, however long you've been watching us here on my left eye. Hope you're doing well. We've got Chris in the house. How you doing, brother? Keith's Catchphrases is of course back. And that's a little game that we like to play along with PMQs. And Solidari-Tea for throwing up the Palestine flags nice and early. Something I always like to see. Be coming onto that topic later, of course. But speaking of which, it actually kind of surrounds Jeremy Corbyn. As always, he's an advocate for Gaza. But I'm just going to say a couple of things about this kneecap thing. An MP has spoken up in Parliament against the group, apparently. So it's establishment versus art, you know, that old thing. That'll be a bit later on though. A couple of other bits to get through as well. Stu, nice to see you. It's Trump's first 100 days, of course. So we'll be taking a visit to Trump and Musk's batshit crazy corner. Looks like Musk will be stepping down from his supposed government role, but I'll still keep the feature anyway. And also it's getting hot, very hot, record-breaking temperatures again for this time of year. So a bit about that and climate change as well. And we just sort of had a quick look at what I thought would be a side story. Soon forgotten yesterday, Tony Blair's critique of trying to reduce carbon levels, essentially. Having taken a look more into it myself, with what he said, as well as the backlash that's come, which I wasn't expecting, to be honest. thought most people, you know, oh, crazy old Tony said something again, whatever, but this really seems to have gone a bit confrontational. Even from within Labour as well, you know, I'm not backing Labour there. I'll take any chance I can to criticise Tony Blair, of course I would. I need to say that's unfortunate. It's unfortunate about the washing there. But, speaking of fire, something that's been developing in the last couple of hours as well is a large fire tearing its way through Jerusalem and other parts of Israel as well, let's believe, and it's being accelerated by winds. So it just reminded me about that. Might try and see what the latest is on that. A bit further down the road in the stream. Let me know what's been your least favourite thing about Trump's 100 days in office in the chat or in the comments. Maybe it's the tariffs, maybe it's Gaza, maybe it's Ukraine, Russia, maybe it's the economy, maybe it's the attacks on DEI. So much to choose from. In only 100 days, it feels like a lot longer, doesn't it? Oh, it really does. It's hard to pick for myself. And I think it's definitely got to be Gaza, just because of that video that just, you know, really wish I could unsee that promotional video for his intentions for Gaza that he put together. As much as I know that America has its economic woes domestically, that's only going to get worse. So I'll be taking a look at a few stats of what he's, well, you can't really say achieved, but the status, the state of affairs after 100 days in the White House. That'll all be after PMQs though. Hey Odin, welcome to the chat. Just quickly on environment. Yeah, I did hear about this. Unfortunately, Starmer is leaning towards this, well, essentially non-existent technology, carbon capture technology. Thinks that we can still, it's a, no pun intended, it's a pipe dream. But essentially thinking that the fossil fuel industry can remain the same and they can capture the carbon at the end of the process and everything will be fine because it's not going into the atmosphere. It just does not exist. That will not happen. That is certainly not a solution. We are out of time. I've been saying, you know, the environmental movement has been saying for some time that time is running out. You know, 0 hour. We're at 0 hour now, people. So I think it's something like 2 billion that Starmer's going to be putting into this. Make sure you tell your grandparents this whilst you visit them next winter as they freeze, or perhaps they'll die of heat stroke as a result of abnormally high temperatures at this time of year, if that might ever happen. Yeah, so 2 billion. He says it's going to create 2,000 jobs. But they can't exactly work on a technology that doesn't exist. A fantasy idea to to appease the bigwigs in the fossil fuel industry, who of course heavily lobby people like Starmer. If we waved our checkbook at you, would that make you shut the fuck up about the climate crisis? Yes, absolutely. Money in the bank. Yeah, we do already have this amazing carbon capture technology called fucking trees. In case you're listening, Starmer. In which case, I don't have any respect for you one iota. I think that you're a lying careerist, Tory light, establishment freak. Thatcherite. Okay. There's something like Hearted to start the stream off. Well, there should be. I'm just checking I've uploaded it into the right place. Bear with 1 sec, people. Hedy, hope you're doing well. And thank you for the gifted membership as well. To Chris. Solidari-Tea for that, brother. Just want to say thanks to all the members, actually. Thanks again. Excuse me. It's the dry heat tonight. It's a hot night. And Andy Carter as well with a gifted membership. Awesome stuff. So Nicola Curtin, Leroy Z. Hope you enjoy your memberships there. update the total as soon as we've said thank you to all of the current members. And you can join this list, it's just 99 pence. Check out the perks and all that business. And you can also help to support the channel by hitting the thumbs up button. Very simple gesture, but it does help out a lot. As well as giving us a share across your social media as well. So that now brings us to 76, and great stuff. And where are you, chat? There you are. Thanks again, Chris. Thanks again, Andy. And just before we go into the comedy clip, a reminder you would have seen when you came into the stream, there is a poll tonight. Pretty straightforward one, really. Do you think this will be a record loss in the local elections tomorrow for Labour? So by this time tomorrow the polls will be closing as well, and then all will be revealed in the early hours of Friday morning. There aren't local elections everywhere in every single borough or ward, but there are a great many, including some new mayoral seats as well, but more on that a little bit later. Alright, people. Oh, sorry, I've just hit the members thing again. Apologies. Although you do deserve extra credit. Just gonna stick this in here quick and then...
Hello, I'm Vice President...
The size. So this is another one in the JD Vance series, and this time he's off to the shops, or the grocery store, or whatever you prefer to call it. He's gone to Polski Schlep. It really is great. So it's under the premise that he's an alien sent to Earth to harvest the core for its minerals, and has no experience of human interaction. Just like the real JD Vance, I guess, in a way. Okay. Here we go, people.
Hello, I'm Vice Presidential Candidate and Human Plastic Bag JD IC Paris IC Vance. I'd like to purchase some consumer goods, please.
Welcome to our little local grocery store. How may I help you today?
You know the thing that restaurants do that you don't normally see, but you pay for it anyways? I want to be able to do that at home.
Are you talking about cooking, sir?
Okay, good. Let's do that.
Okay. Well, what do you want to cook? Chicken? Potatoes? What are we working with?
Why are your eggs so expensive?
Our eggs are market price.
Why are these eggs double the normal cost of a dozen eggs?
Sir, that's a box of 2 dozen eggs.
The Harris campaign did this.
No, food prices are up across the board, sir. It's probably corporate price gouging.
Using their dark Democrat magic, they made these eggs more expensive. They're demon eggs. I know it's true because I heard someone say it on the internet.
No, those are just regular eggs at the regular price.
Seems normal.
Oh, nothing about this interaction is normal.
What's the deal with hamburger meat? It used to be $7 a pound, but this right here is $32 a pound, and you gotta grind it up yourself? What's the deal with that?
Sir, that's a porterhouse.
Porter's house?
Huh? No, it's a steak.
Is it fun at Porter's house? Does he have like a ColecoVision or a Sega?
Who are you talking about?
I knew a guy named Porter back at Yale where I went to college. He once glued his hands to the outside of a blender on a dare. He's now a VP at his dad's investment firm. He still has the blender on his hands last I checked. Terrible at his job, but he's a hoot on Margarita Mondays. Is your milk fresh squeezed?
Excuse me?
How many cows are in a single carton?
Look, I know you're wrong, but I don't know enough about dairy farming to dispute it.
How long do the cows work here before they're squeezed?
Okay, you're way off, buddy.
I do have a question about trans fats.
Oh, I can actually probably help with that. What's your question?
Why the f*** are you lying to people?
Excuse me?
Trans fats are whatever fats they were when they were born. This isn't natural.
Oh, so no, that's not what that means.
Besides, the natural fat produced by human beings is perfectly sufficient for feed.
See, trans fats are actually a name given to unsaturated... Sorry, what do you mean by feed?
While the human animal does make for the perfect worker, there are of course members of the species that do not meet physical standards for one reason or another. These individuals will be emulsified, their fat rendered for cooking, and turned into a nutrient paste to be fed to the other humans that do make the cut. The Glauthean Mining Consortium believes in, above all else, efficiency. What kind of donuts do you have here?
You'd have to ask the bake...
Okay, good. I'll take a dozen and make sure they all have holes.
Oh, dear Lord. You know, they probably don't have to deal with this crap over at Ashley Furniture.
The what?
Ashley Furniture, the store across the street.
Oh my. The legends were true. Tell me something. Do they have couches over there?
Yeah, I think we got our break room couch from...
Your what?
Our break room couch.
Please, where is your break room?
It's for employees only.
Where is it? Rah, rah, rah.
Fine. It's behind the dairy section, past the bathroom.
Okay, good. JD Vance, JD Vance, that's my name. JD Vance, that's why they call me JD. Okay, I'll pause it there. I think there was, I had to... Sorry, it's very good. I sweat it out the song because of copyright reasons on the last one. Whatever song it was he used at the end of that one. That was very good. Rothschilds, everybody. Go and give him a follow. Yeah. Shout out and a plug for Rothschilds on the YouTubes. Okay, music. Let's get with the music, people. Right then.
over to the House of Commons. And without much further ado, it's time for PMQs and another episode of Keith's Catchphrases.
We now come to Prime Minister's questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Deliver. Black hole. Plan for change. 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 Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
So you can see some examples of the contenders. They're very simple. We pit 2 against each other every week. The current reigning champion is Deliver. It's represented by Postman Twat, who you saw in that clip. So I'm switching it up from last week's, bringing back a former contender. Because where the UK is considered, at least things have sort of cooled down a bit with the tariffs. So I'm not sure that that's going to come up. I want to make sure it's a fair contest. We're not just going to give the reigning champion an easy ride. Okay, so it's very simple, people. These are the rules. It has to be Starmer that says the selected word or words. The phrases get knocked out after 2 losses in a row, so after 2 successive weeks if they've not managed to, in this case, beat Postman Twat. Then they're out and we'll get another contender. But slight variations on words are allowed. So delivering changes planned. That kind of thing. Pretty basic. Okay, so this is the reigning champion here. I think we're gonna give Change another go this week as the contender. From the clips that I've heard from MPs this week on various issues, it is coming up a lot again. And they're combining it now, they're just stringing them all together. Yes, Nina Sadie, let me be clear is another one. Let me be clear, we're delivering the plan for change. This Labour government. Da 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 da. So let's see if we can have a change in the winner. So I'll be keeping score there, as usual. You'll hear this noise every time one of the phrases comes up. Everybody down with that, can you dig it, people? With it being the local elections coming up, this is the last PMQs before the locals. I really want everyone to have a good go at this one, if you know what I mean. Or will it just be the average panto crap? Let's see. Okay, let's kill the music. Get that shit on with it. Where's the wanker? There he is.
We now come to Prime Minister's questions. Clive Jones.
Question number 1, Mr. Speaker.
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday evening, Royal Air Force Typhoons successfully conducted strikes against Houthi military targets in Yemen in a joint operation with our US allies. This action was in line with long-standing policy of the UK government to defend freedom of navigation in the Red Sea after Houthi attacks fuel regional instability and risk economic security for families in the UK.
Well, straight away, I don't want to interrupt so early on, but it's to help out Israel, you know. The Houthis are right up there with giving it to Israel. So, and they've absolutely sent the United States packing the Houthi rebels. Absolutely have.
Mr. Speaker, I'm pleased to say that all UK aircraft and personnel...
Speaking of which, I forgot to mention, it's also, today is the anniversary of the end of the Vietnam War, just coincidentally. I'm saying, you know, where things haven't worked out too well for the old US of America.
Returned safely, and I pay tribute to the professionalism and bravery of all our servicemen and servicewomen. The Defence Secretary, Mr. Speaker, is making a statement immediately after
Was the
PMQ.
sausage returned? Is that what he was
Mr.
saying?
Speaker, can I congratulate Prime Minister Mark Carney on his election in Canada? Our two countries are the closest of Commonwealth allies, partners and friends, and we will work together to deepen our economic relationship to benefit working people here in the UK. Mr. Speaker, may I also congratulate everyone across...
But not the disabled, the retired, anyone who doesn't have a job. You can all go and fuck yourselves. That's what's time for working people, exclusively. People who are working for less than they should be, for longer than they should be as well.
The House, including members of this House and the Press Gallery, who ran marathons in London and Manchester. In particular, the Honourable Member for Gordon and Buchan, for the fastest run of any female MP. And, of course, the Shadow Justice Secretary, who I'm reliably informed is still running. Mr. Speaker, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others, in addition to my duties in this House.
Right, I'm just going to excuse myself. I'm going to go and open a bottle of gin. Because that was absolutely off. No, I'm only joking on that. Oh, God.
I shall have further such meetings later today.
Sit down.
Jones.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to...
Look at the noise. Why did that guy get up then? When it's on the order paper who's going to get up next and ask the question. He got up as though it was an open session where the speaker is going to pick someone out, but it's on the order paper. Fool.
associate myself with the remarks of the Prime Minister about the professionalism of our armed forces, and also congratulate Mark Carney on being elected as Prime Minister of Canada. And also everybody who took part in the London Marathon. Both my daughters have done it. It's something I can't do anymore, sadly. Later today, Mr. Speaker, I'm introducing a bill to guarantee Parliament has the final say on any trade deal, including any agreement with President Trump. This isn't new. It's exactly what Labour promised to do in an official policy paper put forward in 2001. I'm asking this government to keep its promise. Currently, members of Parliament have no vote. They have no voice on trade deals.
Come on, Hoyle, bloody hell, it's like...
So, will the Prime Minister...
Order. I think the Honourable... What this is good. I think you're on a marathon yourself. I think the Prime Minister may get a bit. Prime Minister!
Well, Mr. Speaker, can we extend our congratulations to his daughters for running the marathon? In relation to trade deals, the government retains the right, obviously, to strike trade deals, delivering growth, jobs and opportunities for working people. We clearly set that out in our manifesto. That's exactly what we're doing. Parliament has...
There was a deliver there.
knows does have a well-established role in scrutinising and ratifying these deals. And he knows that was strengthened under the last Labour government, as he references.
1-0.
Dan Tomlinson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There's going to have to be a coming together of Reform and the Conservative Party in some way. A deal, a pact, or a merger. These aren't my words, Mr. Speaker, but those of the most senior Tory in elected public office in the country, the Mayor of the Tees Valley.
Sit down, briefcase. No way. Well, let's hope that doesn't happen. Just want to see the demise of both of them, you know, a collective political awakening.
No responsibility for any part. Right, let's move the leader of the opposition. Can move in now.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On Monday, the Prime Minister's safeguarding minister admitted on the floor of the House that there was a cover-up of the child rape gang scandal. Does the Prime Minister think we should expose this cover-up?
Mr. Speaker, this is obviously a serious issue. I oversaw the first grooming gang.
What they're saying without saying it's an immigration issue is what they're trying to press here. They're trying to make that false association. In fact,
when she was Minister for Children, Women and Equalities, never raised this issue in the House in 3 years. Mr. Speaker, the Shadow Home Secretary held 352 external meetings during 20 months. How many were on this issue? Not one.
Well, first, I hope this isn't the issue that they're going to be going back and forth over, as they have a history of doing. But I saw in one of the local papers, it was just a thumbnail from an article someone shared on Facebook or something like that, about 12 white grooming gang members who just been prosecuted, I think it was, today. But you're not going to see any of that come up with what the far right is sharing on social media. They'll talk about anyone who's black or brown, these outlying cases. Up here in the north, you hear about this quite a lot. In the northwest, areas like Oldham, Rochdale, for example, but it's all over Greater Manchester, Lancashire, parts of Cheshire, and all these local news outlets, and probably in Yorkshire as well. But essentially, it's awful. It's race baiting, is what it is, and they'll stay silent when it's a group of white people, like I just mentioned. But they'll forever try and link it to immigration, and it's not just a lie. Statistically, it's a disgusting and underhanded tactic.
And they failed, of course, to implement a single recommendation for the independent inquiry into child sex abuse. Mr. Speaker, my position is absolutely clear. Where there's evidence, the police should investigate and there should be appropriate prosecutions. That's route number one. Route number two, we should implement existing recommendations, which did expose what went wrong. They weren't; those recommendations were not implemented by the last government. They're being implemented by this government. We are providing for local inquiries. We're investing more on delivering truth and justice for victims than the party opposite did in 14 long years.
Mr. Speaker, in the last year of Conservative government, we had a gangs task force that found 500 perpetrators, protecting thousands of victims. We launched that inquiry that he's talking about, but more still needs to be done.
Welcome to the tennis section, the back and forth of the "we were less shit than you are in government" of PMQs.
It's now 4 months since I asked him for a full national inquiry. Instead, he promised 5 local inquiries. There will be one in Oldham. Will he now name where the other 4 inquiries will be?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we are providing for local inquiries. This is a serious... Well, they've got so much to say now. Why did they not... Mr. Speaker, why did they not implement a single recommendation in the 14 years they had in office. We're taking forward those. There are recommendations already in place about the change that needs to be taken. They sat on a shelf under the last government. We are acting on them. We are providing for local inquiries, and we're investing more in delivering truth than they ever did.
Oh, but then...
He cannot name a single place because nothing is happening. He stood there at the dispatch box, promised 5 local inquiries. Nothing is happening. On the last day of term, he had his minister come out to water down the promise to say they would provide funding. That is not good enough. At least 50 towns are affected by rape gangs. Places like Peterborough, Derby, Birmingham, Nottingham, Leicester, Rotherham, Rochdale and Preston. Is he dragging his heels on this because he doesn't want Labour cover-ups exposed?
Mr. Speaker, I spent 5 years prosecuting this case.
As little as I ever like to side with Keith, this is a nonsense story. It's a nonsense line of questioning. There's never been any cover-up. If I thought there was any hint of any kind of cover-up, I'd be all over it, you know. I like to point out Starmer's failures a lot, so I'd be all over that. I'd be all over it. But there isn't. That is not what appears to have happened. And again, it's something that the far right are screaming about on social media at the moment to try and get some attention and make that false association.
Mr. Speaker, I was the prosecutor that brought the first case. And when that file was brought to my attention, Mr. Speaker, I noticed that one of the defendants had not been prosecuted previously. Far from covering up, I asked for that file so that I could have a look at it. On the back of that, I then changed the entire approach to prosecutions, which was then lauded by the government. We were doing the right thing and brought those prosecutions. So my record was going after where I thought something had gone wrong and putting it right.
Just while we're in the middle of this back and forth, I've also noticed that once again I've given Angela Rayner Keith Starmer for a face. I would say sorry, but you're a class traitor, Angela.
Stayed silent throughout their years in government, and so did the entire front bench.
Mr. Speaker, he's not the Director of Public Prosecutions anymore. He is the Prime Minister. People want to know what he is going to do now, not talk about what he did years ago. We are asking for a full national inquiry. Andy Burnham wants a national inquiry. He's not Conservative, he's Labour. Harriet Harman wants one. The member for Rotherham wants one.
There's so many domestic, socio-political issues at the moment, and they want to use this as the battleground. And they're both just trying to win back votes from Reform, aren't they? Is what's happening. They know that the far right have been pushing those tropes, and it's dog whistling. It's a dog whistle. So they've all come running, and now they want to try and get their attention and treat this as the main issue that should be in people's heads when they walk into the ballot boxes tomorrow. Not about bills, not about crumbling public services, not about the wealth gap, not about the climate crisis, not about international war. Let's imagine that everybody who's forced to come here to try and stay alive and seek asylum comes so with ill intent. That's being described here, and that's all that they'll want to focus on. But it's a losing battle. They've already lost the battle. Look at the polls. They've tried to win these votes back time and time again on these issues, and it hasn't worked. But at the last PMQs, the last chance that they have to reach out to the public and tell them what they want people to think when they go and vote tomorrow. It's this bile. It's absolute bile. It's a serious crime as well, you know. The topic, it's obviously a very serious crime. But it's been used as a political football in this case. And this doesn't go to help the victims in any case.
All of the victims I have met want a full national inquiry. He keeps talking about local inquiries, yet they have not got going. And they haven't got going because local authorities don't want to investigate themselves. Local inquiries cannot force witnesses to appear. Local inquiries can't force people to give evidence under oath. So why won't he have a national inquiry?
Mr. Speaker, we've had a national inquiry. We've had recommendations. There are hundreds of recommendations that have been made in relation to this issue. It is a serious issue. I strongly believe that we should implement the recommendations that have already been made. And that is what we are doing. I strongly believe we should listen to victims, and we've been listening to victims on this side for decades and working with victims for decades in relation to what they want, which is local inquiries, and we've set those local inquiries up.
Mr. Speaker, he says we should listen to victims. The victims want a national inquiry. We haven't had a national inquiry. We had the child sex abuse inquiry, which Conservatives launched. There is still more to be done. It didn't cover this scandal in detail. In Manchester, just last year, authorities were still covering up abuse. The local inquiry chair there has quit. Bradford Council, an area of some of the worst abuses, refuses any inquiry, local or national. Whether it's the streets of Birmingham or the Town Hall of Bradford, it is chaos and cover-ups with Labour councils. When will he show leadership and do the right thing?
No, again, that's not entirely true.
The right thing is to implement the recommendations that we've got, which is what they palpably failed to do in government. The right thing to do is to have the national inquiries that we need, which was what the victims want. The right thing to do is to invest in our criminal justice system so we can bring people to justice. They've absolutely collapsed the criminal justice system. Prosecutions for rape under their watch, they go up or down. They went down to record lows. Investment in prosecuting these cases went down. Their record was abysmal. They should hang their heads in shame.
Mr. Speaker, this is just distraction tactics. He hasn't read the recommendations, because if he had read the recommendations, he would know none of them would tackle this issue. The fact is, if I were standing where he is, we would have had a national inquiry months ago. This issue is personal for me. I have met many of the victims. This is about the protection of children. Nothing else is more important. In the last few days, Mr. Speaker, I've been to Wiltshire, Lincolnshire, Northumberland, Kent. All of them have outstanding children's social care. Do you know why, Mr. Speaker? Because they're all run by Conservatives. That's the difference that Conservative councillors
Neither of you care.
Isn't the
Neither
choice
of you care.
Between chaos and
You're
cover-ups
both
under
awful.
Labour
You're both
councils
terrible.
or better services
Don't
under
talk
the
about
Conservatives?
cover-ups. Where the Tories are concerned, I could be here all frigging night.
Have a national inquiry. 14 years. 14 years, and they didn't do it. It's so hollow. And yes, tomorrow is the first opportunity the country has to pass their verdict on the leader of the opposition and the party opposite after the general. Have they changed? Have they learned? It's passing verdict on the leader of the opposition. We'll see you next week.
Right, Nadia Winter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wish that the leader of the opposition would stop weaponising victims of child sexual political points. It's damaging victims, and if she cared about child protection, she wouldn't be doing that. It's a disgrace. You're a disgrace. Mr. Speaker, new data shows that in March last year, in Hyson Green and Arboretum ward in my constituency, 64% of children were in poverty, the highest proportion in the whole of the East Midlands, and a damning indictment of the previous Conservative government. One of the proudest achievements of the last Labour government was the action it took on child poverty. Can the Prime Minister confirm that this Labour government will do everything in its power to eliminate child poverty? and that its task force has not ruled out abolishing the two-child benefit limit, the single most cost-effective way to pull children out of poverty?
Minister.
Well, she's absolutely right to raise the disgraceful record of the previous government, which saw an extra 900,000 children in poverty. I'm proud of Labour's record in reducing child poverty, which is what we do in government, and the task force exploring every lever to reduce child poverty.
Leader of the Liberal Democrats, Sir Edward Davey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And on behalf of my party, can I send our congratulations to Mark Carney and the Liberal Party of Canada on their historic victory. We wish them well as Canada continues to stand up strongly to President Trump's tariffs and threats. Mr. Speaker, Canada has learned what happens
Well, the Liberals
when you
have
do
to
a
kiss
trade
each
deal
other's
with
arses,
President
don't they?
Trump. He can't be trusted to stick with it. The Prime Minister didn't answer my question last week. He didn't answer my honourable friend, the member for Wokingham, just now. So let me ask again. Will the government give members of this House a vote on the floor of this House on any deal he agrees with President Trump? Yes or no?
Oh, well, speaking of Trump, just had a funny thought. What if from some absolutely tragic misunderstanding and, well, lack of intelligence at Wokingham got nuked because Trump didn't quite understand where the name derived from. Sorry, that just came into my head there.
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we are in negotiations with the US in relation to a deal. We will act, obviously, in the national interest to make sure that if there is a deal, it's the right deal for our country. If it is...
Sorry, just to go back to... I bet that's what Liz Truss is saying when she goes over to America, when she tries to blame her demise on, apparently, the woke socialist government that the UK has. And they would believe her. They would believe her when she turned round to them, all the MAGA heads, and said, "Did you know we've even got a place called Wokingham?" And then there's just absolute carnage. And they've got a what? Wokingham? Yeah, but that's another story.
It'll go through the known procedures for this House.
Sir David.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm very disappointed in that reply. There was no yes or no response. We do want a vote, and we will keep pressing him and his government on that. But turning to a domestic issue now, Mr. Speaker, my honourable friend, the member for Dorking and Hawley, has taken up the cause of Fiona Lascaris, whose autistic adult son, Christopher, was horrifically exploited and then murdered by a convicted criminal. As ITV News has reported, when Fiona tried to get a mental capacity assessment for her son, she...
I'm not making light of the situation, but technically anyone who gets murdered is murdered by a criminal, but obviously by a convicted criminal. That's different. We do have a doctor in the house, though, in other news. Great to see you, Dr. Davies. Hope you're doing really well.
Was dismissed. So Christopher never got the support that might have saved his life. We're going to try to change the law so families' concerns over a loved one's mental capacity have to be considered. Will the Prime Minister give his personal backing to that change to stop another tragedy like Christopher's?
Prime Minister.
Well, I thank him for raising that terrible case, and I think the thoughts of the whole House will be with Christopher's family and friends affected by this, and we'll certainly look into what else we can do, and if there's further details that can be given to me of the particular case, I'll make sure that we follow it up.
Jenka.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to start by congratulating Truro City Football Club, who've gone from homelessness to league champions in one season. Yeah. In Cornwall, clean energy is a huge opportunity. We're fortunate to have vast natural resources, onshore, offshore winds, geothermal and tidal. We have a strategically...
Yeah, he really did line him up for a change there. I was all poised, I was ready to go on the button, but so will he change? And he sort of, you know, emphasis on the change in the question as well. Perhaps Ed Davey is playing along. One of you is secretly Ed Davey, perhaps, in the chat. The plot thickens on my left eye.
Vital port and a workforce ready to step up. I welcome that Falmouth Community Hospital will be getting new solar panels and benefiting from those first investments made by GB Energy. As we pursue our Clean Power Plan, will the Prime Minister confirm this is just the beginning of that investment in renewables in Cornwall?
She looks a lot like Kim Leadbeater, or Leadbetter, is it? I think it's Leadbeater, from Baton Spen, I think it is. Remember, she's Joe Cox's sister. And well, if she's in the session today, well, she should be if it's PMQs. But let's get a shot with them both just to make sure that it's not the same person. Just an observation.
To Truro. Clean energy investments are powering our plan for change, Mr. Speaker, and that's just the beginning. We'll go.
Oh, he's reeling through them. So there was delivering plan for change. So that's another one each.
Further, 200 schools and hundreds of NHS sites across the country will benefit from GB Energy's first solar projects, including Falmouth Community Hospital in my honourable friend's constituency. Hospitals will save, Mr. Speaker, £45,000 a year off their energy bills, with that money going back to the frontline services. That's the better future we're building, good for patients, good for jobs growth and our energy security.
Nigel Farage.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To date, so far this year, 10,000 young, undocumented males have illegally crossed the English Channel into our country, a 40% increase on this time last year, many coming from cultures that are somewhat alien to ours. They are being housed at a cost of many billions of pounds a year in hotels and increasingly in private rented homes.
How did this? I can't get rid of it. Oh, it's locked in.
Actually bordering on resentment. In Runcorn alone, there are 750.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Right, okay. First up, we've got Climate Lens in the house. How you doing? How you doing? Good to see you, brother. Climate Lens and I were down in London together this weekend, everybody. Please give him a nice warm welcome. So Farage is going straight to Runcorn here in the question. This is actually one of the places that they're actually looking to succeed in the local elections. He's just trying to ram it home here. We've talked about that a little bit on yesterday's live stream. Again, classic example, deprived town, getting nostalgic about the good old days, all of this other stuff, as well as the immigration thing that I just mentioned earlier in the PMQs. But off he goes. Off he goes. It does look likely that they're going to make the most gains, unfortunately. The Greens are going to make record gains for them, for the party. I'm sure of that as well. I'm hoping so. Make sure when you come in that you do answer tonight's poll as well, as to whether this will be a record defeat for Labour. And if they are, a lot of those votes could go towards this absolute shower of shit that you can see on your screens right now, people. I mean the man, not the channel in general, which is, of course, of the highest quality.
Is it not time to admit that Smash the Gangs was nothing more than an election slogan and not a policy? And isn't it time to declare a national emergency and to act accordingly?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we are passing a borders bill with extensive powers to smash the gangs. These are terrorist-like powers that give powers to the police to intercept where they think the suspects are committing people smuggling, which is a vile trade. We must take back control of our borders after the last government lost control. But what did he and his party do? Did they support those extra measures to actually smash the gang? No, they went in the lobby with this lot in their new coalition to vote against them. And let's be clear what a vote for his party means. It means a vote to charge for the NHS. It means a pro-Putin foreign policy and a vote against workers' rights. And now we hear, Mr. Speaker, he's recruited Liz Truss as his new top advisor.
Did you hear about this thing? It gets even worse. I mean, I just mentioned Liz Truss earlier on with what kind of picture she's trying to paint about the country when she goes over to the United States. Now she's obviously trying to get in with Trump even further by getting behind Farage. I mean, it's just so many of the worst Tories ending up in reform now. It's over 60%, isn't it? Shockingly bad.
As he was cheering on the mini-budget.
Just silence. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For years...
Did he say delivering the mini-budget? Oh, sorry, I've got to go back a few seconds. Just for the game.
Liz Truss as his new top advisor. As he was cheering on the mini-budget.
Cheering
Just
on.
silence.
Cheering on.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For years, my constituents in Orrell have suffered from a lack of local health provision. But next month, that will begin to change, thanks to a new partnership that I built with our local NHS, Wigan Athletic and Wigan Warriors at a Centre for Excellence in Women's Sport. This will be a shining example of shifting healthcare from hospitals into communities. So can I urge the Prime Minister to continue with our plan for change and ignore the member for Clacton who, for decades, has pushed to dismantle our NHS so that my constituents must pay to see their doctor.
I see the member for Clacton complaining, but what did he say? So we're going to have to move to an insurance-based system of healthcare. His words. If you can afford it, you pay. Not under our watch, Mr. Speaker. While he's busy taking Liz Truss's advice and fawning over Putin, we're driving down waiting lists, 3 million extra appointments delivered, and waiting lists slashed in the most deprived areas. That's 6 times the waiting list have come down, including during the winter periods. We're rebuilding our NHS, rebuilding our country of future, and delivering for working people.
And again.
Thank you,
Got a brace in that response.
Just before Christmas,
bringing up to
thousands of my
6-3.
constituents in Eastleigh were left without water after yet another incident involving Southern Water, the latest in a long series of issues, including outages and sewage dumping in our precious chalk stream, the River Itchen. Yet this month, my constituents face water bill hikes of 47%.
And so is
Does the Prime
Starmer.
Minister understand why my constituents are so angry about this? And what reassurances can he give my constituents that Southern Water and Ofwat will be held to account?
Well, he'll give you assurances, but not
Thank you for
action.
raising this, and the party opposite should apologise to her constituents for allowing record sewage into our waterways. Our Water Act will clean up our rivers, lakes and seas. Under new powers which came into effect last week, in fact, water bosses can now face years in jail for concealing sewage spills.
Now, I'm going to have my eye on this new legislation. They've said that they're going to be using drones to pick up fly tippers. Why don't you use drones to pick up companies that are dumping large amounts of shit into our rivers, Keith? Really going to hold his balls to the wall on this one, because it's an issue, an environmental issue that's obviously very close to home. And the fact that there are now officially no clean rivers and streams left in the United Kingdom of all places, what they call this green and pleasant land, is just unbelievable.
Ban the payment of bonuses and introduce new powers. And of course we're delivering a major review through our Water Commission. And I'll reassure the member we won't hesitate to take further steps.
Sam Coley.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Listening to residents in North West Cambridgeshire on the
He's on a
doorstep
roll.
and in local coffee mornings, there's a clear message. People
He's
want
off on
local
one
police
again.
that have the time and resources to get to know crime in their areas and tackle it at the root. And I know our Labour mayoral candidate's committed to that as she's elected tomorrow. So could the Prime Minister update residents across Cambridgeshire and Peterborough on how our plan for change is tackling crime and antisocial behaviour and boosting police ranks by 13,000 officers that will be visible in all local communities?
It makes me nauseous now, and I've heard it thousands and thousands of times in the last 10 months that Labour have been in delivering the plan for change, and whether it's someone putting a question to him in PMQs, responding to whatever journalist that it is, or whether it's Starmer himself. Ugh.
The party opposite decimated neighbourhood police, and crimes like shoplifting and antisocial behaviour ran rife. I can tell him what we're doing through the plan for change. Extra police
See,
officers,
again?
extra PCSOs,
Christ.
and more special constables. On top of that, Mr Speaker, a named officer for every community and more teams out in our town centres on Friday and Saturday nights. That's what you get with a Labour mayor working with a Labour government to deliver change for Cambridgeshire and Peterborough.
Come on.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Eastbourne War veteran, Staff Sergeant Paul...
Keith, I know you're a stuck record, at least give me a chance to do the fucking buttons on my own stream, for Christ's sake, you big fucking twat. Right, sorry. Went off on one there. So that was one... Fucking hell. That was 2 changes and 1 deliver. I'm just going to go straight to changing the score now, so that's going to be 8-5 to Postman Swat. Everybody got that? Good. Right. Let's plough through the rest of this fucking circus.
Pauline Cole is a veteran who sustained injuries while serving our country. She was awarded military compensation. But because military compensation is currently considered income by this government, her pension credit has been cut from £77 a week to just £11 a week. We've met with the relevant minister to try to address this to no avail. So I want to ask the Prime Minister, with the anniversary, the 80th anniversary of VE Day just next week, will he meet with Pauline, who's in the gallery, and I, to address this injustice and to ensure that no veteran is penalised for serving our country?
Yeah. Prime Minister.
Can I thank him for raising this important issue with us? We will always stand up for those who serve our country. I pay tribute to Pauline for her service, and I will make sure that she gets the appropriate meeting that she wants and needs to discuss her specific case.
Julie Mims.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. This week, thanks to this Labour government, hundreds of free breakfast clubs have opened across our country. Will the Prime Minister join me in sending good wishes to the staff and pupils at Castle Carrick, Udale, Longtown, Inglewood, Brook Street,
Some schools.
Blackford, Hallbank Gate and Bishop Harvey Goodwin schools in my constituency, which are among the first to benefit from this important scheme? And can he confirm that this is just the start of Labour's plan for change to deliver for working parents?
Well, look, let me pay tribute to all the staff in her constituency who are working in the breakfast clubs, which, of course, Mr Speaker, deliver free breakfast clubs, 30 minutes of free childcare, saving working parents £450 a year, and we've opened the first 750 across the country. There'll be many more to come, Mr Speaker. We are, of course, also saving parents £50 a year by making school uniforms cheaper, something the Leader of the Opposition ordered all her troops to vote against.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. The playing of music and loud videos on public transport without headphones is becoming increasingly common. The various bylaws outlawing such antisocial behaviour are clearly not working, whilst planned cuts to the British Transport Police are bound to make matters worse. Will the Prime Minister back the Lib Dem plan to introduce effective enforcement and a publicity campaign to persuade people to plug in their headphones? After which, you never know, perhaps we can encourage the uncivil minority to take their feet off the seats.
It is actually annoying, though, when anybody does that and they flick through fucking Instagram, whatever they do, and changes song every 4 seconds, and they think that everybody else on the bus wants to hear that the whole way, or the train, or whatever it might be. And yeah, I mean, just put some frigging headphones on, for God's sake. Bit antisocial, and we're obviously pro-social here.
Prime Minister. Well, he raises a really important question of antisocial behaviour. They're laughing about it. That really sums up what they did in the last 14 years. He knows there are already strict rules in place to prevent antisocial behaviour, including fines of up to £1,000. But we are focused on tackling antisocial behaviour. It's not low level. It does affect people and their communities and their sense of safety and what they can do with their own lives. And that's why an additional £1.2 billion has been set aside for policing, 13,000 new neighbourhood police officers, new respect orders, and a named officer in every community. We take this seriously. They laugh about it.
Anyone know any international war criminals? By any chance? Maybe 1 or 2? Is that Liz Kendall who looks absolutely appalled by that answer, or is she just scratching her head?
El Ribeiro had it.
Mr. Speaker, rent in my constituency is becoming exceedingly unaffordable, with the ONS's most recent data estimating that the average price of rents have risen by over 10% in the last year, whilst average wages have...
I don't want to come across as some sort of mystic seer, or perhaps even, you know, time traveller, but I'm going to predict he's going to say, Tories, 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 2 million houses,
haven't risen at the same level. And I know several metro mayors are calling from the power to control rents in their region to help tackle the issue, and the steps in the Renters' Rights Bill to cap market rents at the market rate are positive. But as landlords are the ones setting the market rates, renters in my constituency are fearful that this won't be enough to protect them from rising rents. So can the Prime Minister tell me what steps this government is taking to bring down rental prices?
delivering 2 million houses.
She's absolutely right to raise this.
That's what he's going to do, because the Tories bad.
Communities across the country are facing the consequences of the utter failure of the party opposite to build enough homes.
True, yeah.
Our Renters' Right Bill improves the system for 11 million private renters.
How many?
Blocking demands
2 million
for
houses.
multiple months of rent in advance, and finally abolishing no-fault evictions, something they said they'd do over and over again, and as usual, never got round to doing. Mr. Speaker, that's backed up by major planning reforms, our new Homes Accelerator, £600 million to deliver 300,000 homes in London.
300,000 in London.
1.5 million homes will build across the country that are desperately needed.
Thank you very much, although that it doesn't take much talent to almost predict in verbatim what his response is going to be at this point, but he's gone into double figures as Postman. Twat. I could have written the answers for him, really, couldn't I? That's as predictable as gets. Fuck me.
Does the Prime Minister recall from our history that even during the Blitz, the concert pianist Dame Maura Hess continued performing her piano recitals at the National Gallery, including the performance of German music like J.S. Bach's Jesu Joy of Man's Desiring?
There's a bit off kilter here. Is he referring to Rudolf Hess's wife? Rudolf Hess's wife.
As a trustee of the Parliament Choir and as a singer, can I ask him to lend his support to Parliament's own...
Is this just... Sorry, I'm going to have to go back to the beginning of the question. I don't want to completely get it out of context.
Does the Prime Minister recall from our history that even during the Blitz, the concert pianist Dame Maura Hess continued performing her piano recitals at the National Gallery?
No, sorry, it's just a... yeah, sorry, it's a coincidence. It's nothing to do with Rudolf Hess. Dame Moira Hess is who he's referring to there. Apologies for any confusion. I wonder where he was going with that. I really did.
Including the performance of German music like J.S. Bach's Jesu Joy of Man's Desiring. As a trustee of the Parliament Choir and as a singer, can I ask him to lend his support to Parliament's own VE Day celebration, which will be next Wednesday evening in Westminster Hall, when we will perform in the presence of His Royal Highness the Duke of Kent and both speakers of both houses. Not only that, but
spit it out, man. Spit it out. What are you getting at?
Our chorale, but the music of our other allies, and of course some British music too. Tickets are still available.
That wasn't a question. That wasn't a question. That was... Is he just trying to flog some tickets? He's just there to try and flog some tickets for a thing. And Star was going to do... Oh yes, I'd be delighted to go to the thing that you... It's like I said last week, you know, when an MP gets up and they go on about the local village fates and they do some sort... They'll do, you know, unique but ridiculous game. Like cheese rolling or something like this, and Starmer responds with, oh yes, of course, I'm just an ordinary person. I like fun as well. Fun really is my thing. I mean, I talk to any establishment, former director of at public prosecutions that you can pull off the streets and just average guys really, but do really like to have a lot of fun as well. And I'd be honoured to come and roll the cheese at the thing and come to your gig if you want to come and flog some tickets at PMQs. What the fuck was that?
Prime Minister! Can I wish him the very best of luck? It will be a fantastic event.
People are dying.
And it's just one of the many important celebrations that that are taking place to commemorate VE Day. I would encourage the whole House to buy those remaining tickets to go along and attend the concert, which I think is in Westminster Hall, as well as the many street parties and other events that will be across the country. And I look forward to paying my own tributes on VE Day, but I wish him luck.
Sarah Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I welcome the action taken by the government to fix our NHS and deliver 2 million more appointments, something my constituents are already benefiting from. Together with Warrington and Halton NHS Trust, I recently submitted a ready-to-go proposal for a new urgent treatment centre and outpatients facility in Warrington. Warrington has over 200,000 residents and no urgent treatment centre.
I've no idea which constituency she's from. Might be Warrington.
The proposal would reduce
She's only said it 5 times in the last 4 seconds.
Appointments every year. Will the Prime Minister or Health Secretary agree to meet with me and local health partners
Meet in Warrington
to discuss this transformational project?
Prime Minister.
Well, I'm happy to make sure that my honourable friend meets the Health Secretary. Mr. Speaker, we have got waiting lists down for 6 months now in a row, delivering 3 million extra appointments. The Further Faster 20 programme is doubling the rate at which waiting lists are falling, including in her trust. And of course, earlier this week we froze prescription charges at under £10.
That's going to be on a sale.
There's a lot that's been done, a lot more to do, but our plan for change is working, getting the NHS back on its feet.
What a late one.
The non-disclosure agreement was entirely one-sided, gagging me, but not the men or the execs involved. It covered not just business matters, but everything painful I'd endured. I ended up in hospital. These are the words of a victim who suffered intolerable sexual misconduct in her workplace. Does the Prime Minister agree with me and members across this House that the misuse of NDAs in cases like this are totally unacceptable? And if so, will he help us in amending the Employment Rights Bill going through the Lords now to stop this pervasive practice once and for all?
Prime Minister. She's right to highlight the misuse of NDAs, and I don't think anybody would countenance the misuse of NDAs, particularly in a case as serious as the one that she cited, which is why we're looking whatever we can do to make sure they're not misused.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. After 14 years of a Conservative government who let fly tipping increase to record levels across the country, my constituents in Ealing Southall will welcome the Prime Minister's announcement today that fly tippers will now face tough action, new technology for enforcement and up to 5 years in prison. Could the Prime Minister set out what other steps he is taking to help councils tackle fly tipping and the difference this will make?
Could we get some drones to pick out people who commit stock market fraud and this kind of thing and don't pay the taxes, tax evasion, that sort of thing? No?
To communities like Ealing Southall.
Thank you for raising this issue. Under the last government, we saw 1 million incidents of fly tipping. Under Conservative councils, we see enforcement down and fly tipping up.
For anyone who's not from the UK, fly tipping is where you basically go and dump your household rubbish, or it might be like a couch or something that you don't want to use anymore in an alleyway, back streets, somewhere you're not supposed to, because there are laws against that, bylaws against that, obviously. So just to explain that that's what that means. It's nothing to do with the insects or like shoving them over or anything. It's kind of strange game, a bit like the cheese rolling, really, but no, it's not that.
At Tory-led Northumberland, where incidents of fly tipping are up 76%. We're introducing, Mr. Speaker, tough powers to seize and...
It's nothing to do with gambling either.
Crush the vehicles of commercial fly tippers who now face up to 5 years in prison for operating illegally. That's a Labour government clearing up the mess left by the party opposite.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Prime Minister, a week tomorrow, the whole nation will come together to commemorate VE Day. Those who fought in World War II, including my own father, would often attest that no one did more to maintain their morale in adversity than Dame Vera Lynn, the force's sweetheart. A doughty band of campaigners for several years have been trying to create a national memorial in her honour. I'm pleased to tell the House they now have a stunning design. They have a site, appropriately at Dover, and they've already raised over 3/4 of the funding that they would need. So at this very special time, would the Prime Minister lend his support in principle to this noble endeavour? Would he be prepared to accept a personal briefing on the campaign, in which case I suspect that he and I will meet again?
Always a pleasure. But look, I'm going to congratulate him on his campaign. It is really important, and many people were delighted, I think, to join that campaign. Dame Vera is sewn into our nation's soul, providing the soundtrack for our greatest generation, and so it's particularly timely. So I'll support the campaign that he has done so much to promote.
Adam Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Whether it is the crevasse on the island outside of Asda in Long Eaton or the array of tyre poppers on Quarry Hill Road in Ilkeston, every day my inbox is filled with complaints about potholes that Conservative Derbyshire County Council has failed to fix. Given that the government has poured £1.6 billion of extra funding into road repairs...
Tell them get the frigging bus.
And that tomorrow is the Derbyshire County Council elections, does the Prime Minister agree with me that it is high time that Erewash and the wider Derbyshire got itself a Labour Council that will actually repair the roads?
Well, he's absolutely right. Conservative Derbyshire County Council is home to more potholes than anywhere else in the country, and drivers are paying the price. Mr. Speaker, our plan for change has committed enough funding to fix 7 million extra potholes this year, and for the first time, councils like Derbyshire must publish how many potholes they've actually repaired in order to get the cash. The party opposite left Britain's roads crumbling. We are fixing them.
Sammy Wilson.
Mr. Speaker, the blackouts in Spain, which have caused chaos, the realisation amongst many backbenchers in his own party that thousands of jobs are being lost in Scotland in the oil industry, and the fact that businesses are facing energy costs.
Oh no, it's Sammy dickhead. Like, get with the times, man. Get with the times. Get the net. Get with the programme. Get down with the kids, Sammy. Jesus Christ. He's a climate change denier as well, by the way.
Which are making them uncompetitive and consumers being plunged into poverty, fuel poverty. Does he not recognise that his net zero policy is not only...
Fuel poverty is because of fossil fuel greed. The choice between heating and eating is because of fossil fuel greed. Join the fucking dots. Wake the fuck up.
Bad, but it's mad. And indeed, his own former leader is now accepting this. Will he not accept the advice from someone within his own party if he won't accept advice from...
Start again. Where's the thing? Just popping his head into the corner there.
This side of the House.
Prime Minister.
Well, many years on the opposite benches, I learned when asking questions at PMQs not just to read the headline on a web.
Here's another reason why he's politically painted himself into a corner as well, Starmer. He tries to obviously appease environmentalists very poorly. He's doing a very poor job on that matter, but at the same time also those who want to carry on with fossil fuels. It's obviously which way he's leading at the moment. That is with the fossil fuel companies, of course, but it's just one of those other corners that he's painted himself into.
Wednesday morning, but to look at some of the detail. What Tony Blair said is we should have more carbon capture. We've invested in carbon capture. That's many jobs.
You're both mentioned my thoughts on carbon capture at the start of the stream. If you weren't with me at the start of the stream, check that bit out afterwards. But it's a bullshit. It's not a solution. It's not going to happen. That's not really where the investment needs to go. 2 billion wasted there that could go into other social public infrastructure projects as well. Like a really poor decision based on a technology that doesn't exist, essentially.
Across different parts of the country. He said that AI should be used. We agree with that. We've invested huge amounts in AI on the jobs of the future. He also said we need domestic targets so that businesses have their certainty. If you look at the detail of what Tony Blair said, he's absolutely aligned with what we're doing here. These are the jobs and the security of the future. I would also say that we shouldn't weaponise the difficult position that people in Spain and other countries find themselves in at a very difficult time.
Final question, Alex Bellinger.
Thank you, Mr.
You've seen the stories about what happens in Spain with the power outage, and just imagine that here. Just imagine that in cities or towns across the UK, and it might not be days. It could go into weeks.
Speaker, I welcome the government's decision this month to secure British steel, and at a time when European security is critical, it is defence manufacturers in the Black Country, like Summers Forge in Hellsowen and BB Price in Cradley Heath, that will be using that steel to make the military equipment that our defence needs. Will the Prime Minister commit to make manufacturing investment in the Black Country a national priority so that we can live up to our industrial heritage and create the high-quality defence jobs that our region so desperately needs?
Man, have you been paying attention? Like, you know, the Industrial Revolution is what set off this whole thing in the first place.
I'd like to pay tribute to my honourable and gallant friend for his service to his country. He understands our national security and economic security go hand in hand. Mr. Speaker, it's vital that defence investment creates more jobs, apprenticeships and opportunities in the Black Country and across the United Kingdom. That's why we've launched a new hub to give up to 12,000 small firms better access to defence contracts. And of course, we're raising defence spending, the highest sustained increase since the Cold War, something the party opposite failed to do in 14 years in office.
Right, we'll let the front bench change over.
And that concludes Prime Minister's questions. I guess I'll do Hoyle's job for him there. He was supposed to say that at the end, but he's about as much use as an ashtray on a motorbike. So that was PMQ's 11-7 victory for Postman Swat and Deliver. I'll just bring the background music in a sec. And what do you make of that, people? That's what they had to say for themselves at the last PMQs before the locals. He's going to get absolutely rinsed, isn't he, tomorrow? He's going to get absolutely rinsed. I would, of course, strongly recommend you vote for your local socialist candidates or the Green Party. Of course. Talk a bit more about the locals later. Let me know your thoughts on that round of PMQs. Change didn't do too badly, but couldn't stand up to the mighty Postman Swat. Okay, I'll just get rid of the scoreboard and whatnot. That was it for another week. And that was it for another episode of Keith's Catchphrases.
We now come to Prime Minister's questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Deliver. Black hole plan for change. 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 Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Alright, so I'll be back next week with that. I'm going to move on through some other stories now. We'll have to plough through these as the hour grows quite late, people. So we'll go immediately from one feature to another. And step into Trump and Musk's batshit crazy corner.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. We will build a great wall along the southern border.
This is the chainsaw for bureaucracy.
That is one big pile of shit.
Okay, so 100 days of Trump. Let's take stock then, shall we? I'll go over to a couple of articles that I'll quickly skim through first, and then I've got some stats, the actual reality, the painting on the wall. The writing on the wall, I should say. The painting on the wall, the writing on the wall. There's been a cabinet meeting. This is one of the things that people have been pointing out. You see, he's celebrating a loss. He's doing incredibly badly. But he's called a cabinet meeting apparently to sing his own praises, and there are obviously other lackeys there with the noses covered in poo, just saying what a good job he's actually done, but he hasn't. In fact, the US economy has shrank. But he's claimed that he needs a little bit of time to turn it around, which is pretty much an admission that things aren't going so great, so he doesn't really have much to celebrate in that case then. So who's at the event? Oh look, it's a bunch of CEOs that include Hyundai, Horsey Monos, who's the CEO of Toyota. Are you sensing a pattern here, people? Ted Ogawa, and the chairman and CEO of Johnson & Johnson, Joaquin Duarto. He details how much of these businesses are planning to invest in the United States, which is met by applause from the idiots in the audience. So it's called Investing in America. And he opened by welcoming the business leaders. He then went on to have a bit of a dig at Biden. Again, saying that he inherited a poor economy. So are people investing in America in this, in Trump's time of tariffs, as it were? No, they're not. Far from it. I'll throw up some stats in just a moment. Costs for average Americans are up and up and up. According to this, and Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, flanked by dozens of fellow Democrats, slammed Trump's tenure so far as an abject failure and a disaster. And businesses are braced. It's all because of these tariffs. So I'll quickly move on to another article now. And then a few damning yet essential stats. Just very quickly on this one, whilst we're over in the States, there could potentially be some sort of deal on minerals between the United States and the Ukraine coming up within the next 24 hours, apparently. Because again, despite all the hyperbole about Trump's ability to do deals, he hasn't actually done any so far. And there could be a couple of late hiccups because it's expected that, as well as the minerals deal, that Ukraine will sign 2 other agreements as well, and it's arguments about the details of those that could be a bit of a bump in the road. So what you hear from the White House about how well it's going, you should perhaps take with a pinch of salt. They obviously could go through. They are meeting, and that is the intention. But like I said, barring any late difficulties, but again, you're only hearing a source says, you know, someone says, what's the atmosphere like down there when they go live to these sort of things, and it's just, you know, what's the atmosphere like, you know, how does it feel? As though the correspondent's going to be able to tell a future or pick up some vibe out of the air or something like that. Well, I've got my healing crystals here, and you know, that sort of thing. So since I came on the stream, there don't seem to have been any developments. It's not going to be a great deal for the Ukraine, obviously. This would see him put over a barrel for what is an absolute wheelbarrow full of, well, more than a wheelbarrow, a shit ton of natural resources, minerals. I'll keep you posted on that on the stream. I just want to quickly move back to US economic affairs. Take a look at this, people. These are the a few of the stats that I mentioned. "46% of toy companies in the United States say that they expect to go out of business within weeks. 128,000 federal workers lost their jobs in the last 60 days. 40% of cargo ships leaving China for the United States were empty today. Shoes are expected to go up by 87% in price, as are clothes or apparel, as they describe it here, by 65%. US exports going to drop by 18%. US tourism down 20%. All foreign goods are up at least 10% on the United States dollar alone, and depending on which country, that would be a lot more than 10% as well. Quite an indictment, wouldn't you say? On the topic of Trump as well, we've got Climate Lens in the chat also. Just want to give a massive shout out to Climate Lens and the channel. Do check out recent content though, which includes an excellent Donald Trump impression that I played a couple of times here on my left eye. Yeah, always up for doing plugs for friends of the channel. But they speak for themselves. The stats speak for themselves. And they don't look pretty for Americans. Just one moment, people. I'm checking the list of bookmarks that I've got here. Just see where we'll go to next. I'm going to bring this up just quickly whilst I'm on stats. This is another disappointing one. It does concern Trump and Musk, but Tesla specifically. Now we've seen Tesla stock nosedive, haven't we? During Musk's escapades over the last few months. And that's been happening globally. But the first quarter sales report is out, and there's a very disappointing stat, a particular country that's bucking the trend and not boycotting Tesla. And it's us, I'm afraid to say. You look at that, they're down 62% in Germany, 55% in Sweden and Denmark, 49% in the Netherlands, 41% in France, over 25% in Portugal, 12% in Norway, just under 12% in Spain, just under 7% in Italy, and us in Britain, we've increased sales by 3.5%. Now that will be after they went down further, I'm sure. This is from, you know, the first quarter. They may have been going down prior to this quarterly report as well. But come on, people. Why? Really? People are going out there and they're buying the swastikas? Interestingly enough, when I first saw this data here, I did actually think it said swastika at the bottom, but it's Statista who have provided the the stats for this one. I think it's a few people have shared it and obviously used swastika in the post as well, so perhaps a bit of subliminal subconscious influence there, people. True, Andy, we could see what happens in the second quarter. This is the trend though, but well done to Germany. They obviously want to disassociate with certain elements of their past, don't they, in history, and immediately move en masse away from certain things, but they often overreach in that regard, and I guess I'm loosely referring to the police's response to those protesting in support of Palestine. I was going to talk about the Blair thing as well, but I guess we did that as we went through PMQs a little bit when that came up and mentioned it on yesterday's stream. I'm not going to get into whether they are agreeing with each other or not. Starmer and Blair, they're both still full of crap as far as I'm concerned. Did you see that graph on Del Vince's social media there, Andy? Yeah. Thanks for throwing up the Palestine flags and the watermelons in the chat as well. Hey Flo, hope you're doing well. Solidarity. Palestine flags from Doc Davies as well. Thank you very much, Doctor. How do you brew, sir? How do you brew? So where was I? I'll skim over the Tony Blair stuff. Not going to give him the satisfaction of him popping his head out of the parapet and giving him too much attention. So I'll just skip to a few of the final polls that have come in leading up to the local elections tomorrow. Please do vote on the poll that I've got in the chat about tomorrow's election, whether it'll be a record defeat for Labour. Losing the most council seats. A record, perhaps. definitely could be on the cards. So again, Stats for Lefties have got some of the latest polls up. Let's just get rid of the Tesla. Let's see what's happening here. It's a couple of the mayoral seats. I hope I'm coming through okay. The studio software is indicating there might be a problem with the data. Let me know if there's been any problems with the connection there. It says excellent connection now, but I'll carry on regardless. Keep me posted in the chat. I am now. Okay, thanks for that, Chris. This is the final projection for Cambridgeshire Mayor. Now, this certainly does seem to be one that's bucking the trend. It looks as though it could be a gain, a Conservative gain from Labour. Okay, what's happening with this connection, people? We got the... Okay, I'm going for the button.
As you can see, we're experiencing a minor technical difficulty here on my left eye. Our team of expertly trained technicians are working busily to restore the stream. In the meantime, please make sure that you've hit the thumbs up button harder than you'd like to hit Keir Starmer in the Ghoulies and left a comment down below. Thank you.
All right, people. Let me know how I'm doing with the stream. I'll carry on. Just take a look at these polls for a minute or two. So this is a strange one. The Tories would be down 10% but still make the gain from Labour, because Labour would be down by a lot as well. Greens up 9 though. So that's for Cambridgeshire. And that's a weighted average of mayoral polls, and Stats for Lefties model makes up 10% as well. Just go back to their main page, we've got a few more. I feel like I'm obliged to rush just in case there's Armageddon on the stream. Don't want a complete technical collapse. This one, again, doesn't look too great. Hull and East Yorkshire looks almost set to go to reform. There's not a swing in that one because that's a new one. Same for Greater Lincolnshire. That's an 8% margin. I was just looking at that. But this one, west of England, let's have a look, see, because it could be. I mean, look at that. So Labour could hold it very, very narrowly, even though they're going to lose 10% according to this projection. The Greens would remain on 22%, Tories dropping down to 19%, but still being in the running-ish. And I guess you couldn't, in that case, discount Reform, so perhaps 4 actually in the running for that one. If the projection was inaccurate by a couple of percent here or there, it could go to the Greens, Tories or Reform. So if you are listening from the west of England, please do go out and vote tomorrow. That's just a general poll average for April 2025. Reform up 11%. Greens are up 2% though. But those are the main final polls. That's definitely the one to watch. That's definitely the hot seat right there. I do declare on this very stream come on, you Greens. Thanks for the feedback. I'm glad that you can see this. I can't actually see what you're seeing on my studio monitor. That's one of the problems I'm having at the moment, but let me know if there are any freezes or anything like that, but I'm coming towards the end of the stream now anyway. And in doing so, of course, I'd like to give another massive shout out to all of the members of the channel. I'll have the chat back up shortly. Just want to give a very special thanks to everybody on the list for your continued support. Some of you reaching new milestones tonight as well, and gaining access to new static emojis, so thanks for sticking it out with us here on My Left Eye. Thanks for renewing, thanks for all of the gifted memberships as well. And you just know, people, you just know that that thumbs up button needs smashing. It really does. We have Andy Carter with a shot and a hit. Thank you very much for that again, brother. Awesome. To 77. Wonderful stuff, and thanks to every single one of you on the channel for your support. All you members. The Brew Crew. It's not a cult. It's Brewdayism. And James Holmes as well. Great to see you on the stream as well, and thanks a lot for the gifted membership. So that's 78. Awesome stuff. I'll get that list updated. Just again, just want to explain my disappointment. I guess there weren't enough renewals for it to actually get over the 100 as we projected over the weekend. But we're fighting back towards that goal. Thank you very much for that. I'll see if there's anybody to raid into, for anybody who still wants to stay YouTubing and streaming after I sign off. And while I do that, just a quick reminder that I would like your contributions for the Brews at 10, the album, and Volume 4 is out now.
Do you like a hot tasty beverage with your music? Then My Left Eye has got a treat for your ears. The Brews at 10, the album, all your favourite beverage-based hits from the 1960s to now, all in one place.
Volume 4 is now available, featuring Only Brew, The Platters, Tease Me, Chakademus and Pliers, Don't Look Back Into the Sun, The Libertines, Bruce Wayne Brews, Elvis Presley, I've Got Darjeeling, The Black Eyed Teas, plus many more. Order now!
Yes, I'll keep your contributions for songs and artists with your tea-based puns coming in for that. And we've also had another 5 gifted memberships from James Holmes as well, so thanks again for that, brother. Solidarity. Great stuff. Tip of the cap to you. Thank you very much. Takes us up to 83. Wonderful. Awesome, and thanks to everyone for showing your appreciation for that in the chat as well. It doesn't look like any of my subscribers streaming at the moment, so that will just simply be the end of the stream this evening. No raid, no redirect. I won't be streaming tomorrow, but I will be back to report on the aftermath of the local elections as we get towards the end of the week as well. So thanks a lot for joining me tonight, whatever you do with the rest of your evenings. Take care, everybody. My Left Eye, be seeing you soon. Free Palestine and power to the people.